with Coffee with Kim. I'm so excited today to have Matt Rinn with us. Matt, so tell us where you're from and your tribal affiliation and the medium in which you work in.
Well, my name is Matt Rinn. I live in Castle Rock, Colorado. I'm a Mohawk Indian of the Akwesasne, Iroquois Nation. Right now, my focus is my medium. Well, it's a very wide gamut. I do everything from acrylic painting, as you see behind me, to realism, abstract. Some of my main artists that I really appreciate are Jan Nieto and Fitzgerald. Those have been some really good, inspiring artworks and art pieces that I've been focusing on with my acrylic pieces. And then when it comes to building furniture, I use mixed media from using concrete, metal, the epoxy fill, some aggregates like turquoise aggregates and other minerals mixed in with my mediums. But I don't really stick to just dining room tables or coffee table. I do entryway tables. I do rocking chairs where I come up with my own designs and shapes and fill them in. I try to really focus on using reclaimed materials. So repurposing old hardwood floors or going out and where people are taking down trees where they're going to just take them to the dump or put them in the wood chipper. I take those and I mill them. I have a good friend that owns a mill up in Boulder, Colorado, that I go up there and I get them chopped up into slabs or discs and convert those into tables, or I mill it myself. So that's what typically occupies my day is the building aspect of things. And then at night when I get home from the shop, I usually tend to do my acrylic and painting work. It's almost therapy for my hands after using power tools all day.
That's pretty cool. You know, I love furniture with the epoxy in it. So are those things that you actually bring to Santa Fe Indian Market to show some of those pieces?
That was definitely going to be the plan before COVID hit. I had it loaded up, and when I was talking with Eric, he goes, you know, we haven't had anybody that has done furniture in a long time, but it is a medium, and it seemed like everyone was very excited for me to come and have them on display because they're all one of a kind type pieces. I don't use a generic template for them because most of it's all live edge slabs, or I'll go out and find these very unusual pieces and I'll shape them into whatever it may be. Like I'm doing a giant wine rack right now for a wine cellar, and I'm using it's 1-inch square wrought iron that I have to cut it down into pieces and getting it out of a scrapyard where the actual scrapyard was using it to hold their metal beams and pipes, and the thing's gigantic. It weighs 2,300 pounds. So I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. And I've been building different types of cranes and jigs just to move the stuff.
Wow.
So that's kind of my latest and greatest project. It's a little nerve-wracking because it's so heavy. So
Wow. So last year would have been your first year at Santa Fe Indian Market then.
It would have been. And, you know, I had to contribute a lot of it to my significant other. She is a huge fan of the Southwest arts, and she's kind of the one that exposed me to SWAIA and encouraged me to go down and start getting involved with the Indian art market. And then meeting Eric and the team at SWAIA. I mean, everyone's been so great that we really can't wait to get back down to Santa Fe and help out and, you know, understand how we can give back and contribute more.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool then. So hopefully we're going to have a market. We're definitely in that waiting place to see what transpires here in New Mexico. But yes, so that's got to be exciting for you.
Things have really been picking back up as far as shows opening back up, and I just keep my fingers crossed that New Mexico does open their, you know, with all the vaccinations going on. I hope it really loosens up and we can, you know, focus on getting the community back up and going where it needs to go.
I wanted you, Matt, to possibly show us some of your pieces since you are in your art studio. Would love to see what your creations are.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. And just so happens that we did a lot of painting this weekend, so I can kind of show you
Oh, cool.
one piece that I could consider close to being finished, and which you can see right over my shoulder is Buffalo.
Yes.
And if you're a fan of John Nieto, which I'm sure majority of people in the Santa Fe area, I'm sure they really appreciate him. I mean, this is one of his pieces right here that, we keep in here to keep us inspired. But, the Faoism and using the really bright colors, and in my mind, takes a little bit of the stress away from me when you're doing these types of painting, because they don't have to be perfect and they can end up shaping themselves. But I do try to get into the real details with little tiny touches and blending the different colors. But of course, you take a step back, and I can kind of see the kind of the funny that's not perfect, but I'm like, it works. Yeah, and then this is an octopus that I started working on. I'm not quite finished with it yet. We'll have friends come over, and we'll get, and this is one of my friends that she was working on this piece. We'll have friends come over, and we'll just drink some wine and conversate and paint and do just to have a good time. And I do funny, odd sculptures. I'll go on hikes and I'll find cool pieces of wood like this.
That's cool, Matt.
So I'll end up turning this because it looks like an elephant. So I'm gonna end up making a sculpture out of it and painting like kind of the elephant's face around it.
Yeah, that's very cool.
What I always tell people with a lot of my work is, if you want to see what I'm working on currently, just follow me on Instagram, because I try to keep that up to date on all the latest projects that I'm currently working on. So I'll go out of here and show you maybe a couple of pieces of furniture.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited.
Another tree painting.
Is that yours?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hi.
What I'll do, and that's my crazy dog down there in the nook, but you can see I do shelves.
Oh, I love that shell.
It's hard for me to throw anything out. And then this is a big dining room table that I've done.
Oh, wow. That's spectacular.
No, sorry, I probably could have cleaned it off.
I could definitely see that these are like very big pieces.
Yeah, this one's going to be a table, but it looks really just the grain of the wood.
Yeah.
I put it up on the wall. Pretty diverse with the different, I'm gonna do metal pieces too.
Right.
Big show coming up this month that I'm gonna do all those metal pieces like that in the show.
That's cool.
So
then I saw, Matt, where you actually did an interview in Indian World.
I did.
Yeah.
That was, I think that's a lot of fun. It's such an innovative way of doing things. And, you almost get to that sense of getting to know people.
So I wanted to ask you too, in the sense of Instagram, I'm assuming that you use that to boost your sales on the internet. I
do that. My Instagram has been getting a lot more traction, and it seems like for myself and my pieces, it really seems as though people need to see it and touch it and get a sense of it, because it is a lot of them are very big and very heavy. And if they don't know that, and for me to ship something, it's not, it almost wouldn't make sense. So all my sales generally come in person sales. But I do have a website. I do have the Instagram. I do the Facebook. It's almost a full-time job, as you probably know, just trying to keep up with all of that. In reference to trying to
have an online presence, they're super busy with that, and it definitely creates a challenge, especially when they're in create mode.
Oh, I know, it's so difficult. And then you'll go and you're like, I'm on a roll. I made 2 posts this week, and then a month will go by and you're like, oh, I haven't made a post on Instagram in like a month. I'm like, okay. I just want to build stuff. I don't want to have to be posting stuff on the internet. It's like, all right, fine.
I love it. Yeah, no, I feel like definitely in this last year, there has been a number of artists who have received a really good response from online sales, and it sounds like you're getting some good hits as well.
I think everyone just has to get used to it. And, we all hate to say that it's the new normal,
Hmm.
but it kind of is. Like when we did the virtual show, I, I didn't even, I couldn't even resonate. And then when I went into the virtual reality world, that really clicked with me. And I'm going, okay, now that makes sense where you can actually express your personality and then people can really start learning who you are and where to find you. So I definitely think that's going to be a very positive thing for a lot of people.
That's
So
awesome. Love to hear that. Love to hear that you even tried to get into Indian world because it's challenging. I get it, but it definitely is a sense of community and it's very different than even Zoom meetings. It's like you're there and people are conversing and yeah, it's very unique.
I think it's funny when I was in there the other day and all of a sudden a duck just walked up next to me. I'm like, what, who's this? And he starts talking to me. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm assuming then you're full on creating, expecting good things as far as markets are concerned. Do you have any markets that you're going to be attending in the near future?
Well, I have I have a show this month in a local restaurant in Castle Rock. I'm a part of the Castle Rock Artists Coalition. I'm on the board of
Okay.
directors for that. And so what we're trying to do, we started about a year and a half ago, and we're up to over 100 members now. And we've been raising money for veteran groups. So we're doing teaching art classes for that. We have a Carol Hines is another local artist that's been running a class doing that. And then we work with all the local restaurants here, not all of them, but we're trying to build more relationships just so the art community, we can have shows for artists that would never think of having shows. And then we can support and just get other people's names out there. So I have two shows this month in two of the local restaurants. And then I went to the Arbors at Round Top last year in Round Top, Texas. And I was planning on going back, but my calendar got really busy, and with COVID, it just, everyone's recovering from just the financial aspects of things. So
Yes.
I'm going to put that show off until the fall because they have it 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the shows up in the mountains, like in the Vail area, the Dillon and the Breckenridge and stuff. So I'm lining those up now and looking at possibly going up to Jackson Hole. We'll see how the rest of the summer goes. It seems to be the momentum's coming back, and with these big projects that I do have, they'll definitely keep me quite busy.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
it
Yeah,
takes
so
a while for me to build my pieces too. So I always think it's not going to take that long. And next thing you know, you're like, oh goodness. And epoxy can be very tricky. You can shoot yourself in the foot very easily. Like one of my last projects, I had a dam break and it spilled about 18 ounces of epoxy all over my floor. And that was very stressful.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, epoxy, I have family who works with epoxy and it's very tricky, isn't it?
It can be extremely frustrating. And I always love when you're at these shows, people are like, oh, I'm going to go and do that. Well, why do you want to go and do that while you have a perfectly beautiful table here already? And you don't have to go through the struggles and the pains of figuring out how it works, the toxic levels, because they say it's not toxic, but my lungs have been kind of burning the last couple of days from working with it so closely at the beginning of the week. And then all the power tools you have to use. And like, so you want to go out and practice like not killing yourself and possibly hurting yourself. Well, it's a labor of love, that's for sure. It doesn't feel like I'm working. Susie always has to call me and say, when are you coming home from the shop? Because I can work forever on this stuff because I love doing it.
That's awesome.
Hopefully the long-term effects aren't going to be bad. So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing your mediums with us. I'm excited and can't wait to meet you when you come to Santa Fe for sure.
Oh yeah, we're dying. We're dying to come back because I mean it's definitely a special place for us back there.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah. Well, awesome. So Matt, I want to let the audience know how they can find you. So I'm assuming it's Matt Rinn, Rinn on Instagram.
it's actually Slant Brush because that's the
Okay.
name of my company. Slant Brush 6224 on Instagram, and 6224 is the altitude of Castle Rock. And then if you go on Facebook, you can look me up on Facebook under Matt Rinn, and then it's Slant Brush 6224 on Facebook.
Okay.
And then my website is slantbrushstudio.com.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And I just wish the best for you. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch and let everybody know what our plans are for Santa Fe Indian Market.
Well, thank you very much. And I love you guys for the support. And it's been a great experience. And I certainly do look forward to getting down to Santa Fe and saying hello to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.